Welcome back, everyone. So this video we're going to be diving into some more advanced techniques for working on scar lines after top surgery. These techniques can also be used on other scars post other kinds of surgeries, but again, always make sure that you're working with a doctor to figure out what of this translates, what's appropriate for your body and your timeline. All right. So in the last video, I showed just simply getting acquainted with your scars, just dragging your fingers across the scar line, like so. You can start today off just doing that. Gently again, getting oil on your fingers just a little bit to not have such like a harsh pull, but not putting too much oil on your fingers that you're just sliding all over the place. So we're getting a little contact, we're getting a little skin pull as we go. We're making sure we're doing that on both sides. And you can, if you want to keep track on a piece of paper, like just draw some lines out representing the scar lines on a piece of paper, you can kind of just do that as a journal entry almost and keep track of like where it felt numb, where could I feel stuff, where could I not, where was raised, where was lowered, just to kind of have a progress journal for yourself. If you'd like, if that sounds of interest to you. So after we've just kind of introduced touch and kind of oiled things up just a little bit, I'm going to start off by showing you some things that, I might start doing on someone like 6, 7, 8 weeks out. Nothing that's going to be too intense yet. Some techniques I'll show you a little bit later are once we're a little farther along in the healing process, where we're really trying to disrupt that scar tissue. The initial things I'm showing you right now is just, you're still more in the earlier recovery where you have been cleared for massage. You do want to kind of get things going, but you're not like really, aggressively going in there trying to create like a lot of intense change. So initially what we might start off with is something called, we can call it whatever you want. I like to refer to it as like lifting. So basically everything we're doing is going to be moving the scar in on itself. We're never going to want to pull apart. We're kind of coming in from top and bottom, and you're almost going to get a little bit of a skin roll. So I could also do it with like kind of like pinchy fingers. Sure, officially what I'm calling those. So you get your pinchy fingers out and just kind of roll the skin, the scar line into itself. Basically, you're just kind of getting lift. You're creating lift to get things moving, so they're not so glued down, and influencing how it feels to move. So you can just pinch basically until your own fingers meet and kind of roll off the top. And I'm not going hard. Again, I'm just doing this. And I can do this as slow as I'm going right now, all the way length of scar line on both sides, right? So you can imagine that this can take a while. So get comfy. Take your time. If you do one side at a time and come back to the other side later, cool. An important thing to note, if you start feeling heat, you've done enough. I'm not telling you to do this until you get to heat. I'm telling you if an area starts to heat up, we don't want to do anymore. that means that we're definitely getting blood coming to the surface there, but we don't want to overdo it at the same time. That's not going to be helpful for the healing process. So yeah, if you start noticing like heat, if you start kind of having a sense of fatigue, like, we're done in that area. Let's move on. Also, if it's like starting to get really red, same thing. Time to move on. So, for you at the beginning, maybe like one pass on each side and just like a little bit of pinch along the scar line on both sides. Maybe that's it. You come back, you try it again, and in your journey, you're like, okay, actually that feels different today. Not having any of that like fatigue, redness, heat. So then maybe we add another technique in. So we tried the lift, can also try the roll through. So again, I'm not doing anything to pull the scar line apart yet. I'm just rolling on through it. So I can roll from bottom to top. I can roll from top to bottom. I'm showing you this on my lined shirt, for a scar line visual. But let me show you what this kind of looks like on skin as well. So, I'm getting a little roll through the skin. Let me show you what the pinch looks like on actual skin too. Alright, so did some lifting, we did some rolling. The next thing I think I want to show you is a little bit of, we're kind of getting towards shearing. Shearing is going to be later on in the healing process, where it's really okay to start disrupting that scar line. We don't, your body's been reacting well to not getting fatigued, not getting red, not getting a lot of heat from the techniques we've showed you so far. We're still not ever pulling anything apart, but we are challenging it a little bit more. So what it looks like is kind of getting an S curve in the scar line. So I'll do that on the lined shirt. I'll do that on my skin again. So you're kind of just going opposite direction, like one hand's going up, one hand's going down. Puffed up part of skin is coming in between. So with the shear, you're still getting the lift that we were getting before. And you're still kind of rolling through the scar line. But you're also getting this twist in that's really challenging. That's really challenging the scar line, and this can be especially helpful in areas that are like really stuck. So in your exploration of your lines, when you do self-massage, find those areas that are sunken, find those areas that are more raised. Both of those situations could perhaps call for a little bit more work, right? So like an area that is a little sunken, we can kind of get it moving so it's not so sunken. We can give it a little more lift, a little more space, so it's not so clamped down. Where like an area that's really raised, like maybe we don't need all that scar tissue hanging out there. Maybe we can kind of help it chill out and disperse. and kind of get reabsorbed by the body, right? So find those areas, whether they're like raised, whether they're sunken. Find those areas that, like, there feels like there's some hard stuff in there. Those are going to be your more areas of focus. Still good to touch the full scar line. Like I was talking about in other videos, everything pulls on itself, so still good to address all the parts. But when you're adding in your shearing techniques, know that, like, part of why we're doing that is to really start to disrupt things a little bit more intensely than we were doing with some of the lifting and the rolling. All right, let's see. Let me just peek at my notes to see if there's anything else I want to share with y'all. Oh, if you aren't someone who's had double incision, again, like, notice if there's any, I'm going to focus more around nipple area now. Notice if there's any, like, kind of scar tissue-y places around nipple. Again, similar to, like, a scar line where you wouldn't want to pull that apart. You wouldn't want to, like, pull away from nipple. You would want to go towards it. So you can still do some of the, circles around the nipple. You can still do any areas that kind of feel like hardened. You can get into, with circles, you can do some what's called cross fiber friction. So which is basically, I'm going to have a cat disruption in a moment. Cross fiber friction would be going cross fiber across the fibers rather than in the direction of the fibers. And that's kind of another way to intervene or interrupt. So, I'm not going to do a whole, anatomy lesson on what direction of what fibers of what muscles go which direction. Just play around with, like, allowing your fingers to sink in. Let your shoulder drop, let your elbow drop, sink in, and then just kind of go back and forth. Maybe you're going cross fiber, maybe you're not. But you can go the other direction, and guess what? More than likely one of those directions is cross fiber. And with scar tissue, like we talked about before, it just kind of splats, right? It kind of lays down randomly. So just get your tissue moving back and forth, up, down, side to side, round and round. And yeah, a lot more fascial focus stuff in those other videos. All right. Cool. So I think we might be kind of coming towards an end here. Thank you all so much for hanging in there with the series, and feel free to email me with questions if you have them. And yeah, hope this was helpful in some way. All right, take care.